agenda.
It's in the back, right?
It's in the back.
Oh, it's in the back, the financials.
I printed extra copies.
All right, special events. Saturn Park. I'll just go to the larger things.
Well, because to know Center in the Park would have been the annual benefit, so it's a small fee to Center in the Park. The annual benefit probably didn't exceed like $2,800 or something like that.
Okay, I have Zeo Productions, Scream and Sound for
That's
a summer
movies.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
Yeah.
I
summer
see a
series.
Philadelphia Department,
CO Production.
CFED, one-to-one fund.
What is that? 1, 2, 1. How much is that?
So it's $1,800, almost 19.
C-Vent,
Steven.
yeah. But is that what it says?
That's
The CFED, one-to-one fund,
it's a web
That's a
event.
5K run?
CFED.
Is that the 5K run or one less?
CVED, CV.
CVED,
Oh,
CFED.
CVED. Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
What is it again?
C-Fed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a $1,800 expense.
1870. It's written to the City of Philadelphia Department of Streets.
It's probably for the,
Oh, a permit.
that,
Some kind of permit.
what's the Great Road Festival.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be that 24,000?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's probably paid for.
Oh, that's
like,
in
some
there.
kind of-
Yeah, it's in there.
A permit to reroute the bus or something.
Tents and events for 1,600.
It's all paid.
Zeo Productions. There are several Zeo Productions. I'm assuming those are just for screens and.
The Zeal is the summer.
Zeo,
So basically between the movies in the park and the Great Road Festival, the series of events done throughout the summertime
yeah.
racked up $25,000.
You've got porta
Now,
potties.
we funded the movie separately.
Yeah.
It's the Great Road.
Yeah.
So I think what happened,
It has to be, it has to be.
we were, yeah,
Yeah.
we were.
They received the Philadelphia Activities Fund
Right.
for the movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
so-
a small, it's a small thing, but it
Well, no, it's
wasn't.
not small.
For the movies, it's not supposed.
No, I mean, with a $25,000
Yeah.
hit to the, bottom
That's
line.
not,
No,
that's
no.
not for movies.
That's not the
That's not-
movie.
So-
I get it.
The movie were, first of all, they're a great benefit to the community, and they were a separate thing. So the cost shouldn't have been the $25,000. We were informed differently about the Great Road. First of all, not everybody on the board was approved that whole Great Road Festival. The Great Road Festival was supposed to be something that was happening to another entity here in the city. I remember the conversation very much
was
on
a
the
tour.
board. And it was supposed to happen with some other
Cool.
community organization. It would be a very small portion of GSSD dollars that would go into the Great Road Festival. So I don't know, probably the previous executive director, I don't know what happened here, but I'm assuming that some decisions were made outside of the board. And I think a bulk of the funds went toward that, what we were told.
It is hands down the largest expense on the,
Yeah. That's
For the
what that's
organization,
what-
so.
It's not the movies.
so I think, for the year that we're currently in,
Okay,
that deserves a little
okay. So it's just
TLC.
extra monetary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the next bolded line is administrative contract services, or admin contract services is 57,000. So that's the cleaning contract, majority of the cleaning contract, and that makes sense to me. When I drill down personally, it's like, okay, that's an expensive thing, but that's an expense, and that makes sense to me. Facilities and equipment, 11,700.
And we haven't, I'm sorry, to go back, regarding bookkeeping, we haven't been able to identify an invoice or anything for which that's been, okay.
It's written, the checks were written to a name.
Mhm.
And there was one ATM withdrawal that was designated as bookkeeping. I believe it was the only ATM withdrawal that I saw. So it's not like we have, a large number of cash transactions going out. What we have going out are checks that are written to people that we can pull from the bank, and we can see signatures, and we can see all of that, so,
And may I just ask,
yeah.
relative to bookkeeping,
Mhm.
who was the signator on those checks? Do we have that?
Can I, pull? Do the bank statements have pictures of the checks?
They don't.
Okay.
So we would have to,
Go to the actual
yeah,
bank.
we'd have to go to the
Okay,
bank and pull
okay,
the, pull the cancel check.
What was the amount of that ATM withdrawal? Do you remember?
I don't, but here you go, hold on.
There was one for 2 or 3.
$203.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have that one. So then these are two. I have one for 325, which is an odd number for, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not sure who gives out
Yeah,
$5 on
right.
that. That's odd.
Maybe it was a
But it's
fee?
a
It's probably a
It's probably.
fee. Oh, yeah, there you go.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, there were not some large number of, large cash withdrawals. I actually looked for that. So I didn't see that. I looked for a lot of things. When I looked through the books, I was literally looking for things to jump out at me that were just signs of,
Can I
something. No, it's fine.
question? Back to the cleaning, because that's the
That's the
primary
main
activity of
Yeah.
GSSD, right? Does this this number actually seems low to me. Do we have an idea of what the actual cost of 1 year of the cleaning contract with the former provider was?
The month,
It was,
it was $6,000.
$6,000 a month.
$6,000.
So 72
That's
for the
72.
year.
So this is because the cleaning, this is 1 year, but it was because they didn't
It's
clean
not
for
the
the
They
whole
didn't
year?
clean for the whole year.
Okay,
And
but I
we
just want to
also
be clear that, right, this
overbalance.
isn't an accurate, projection of what cleaning costs would
Yes,
be.
$6,000 a month.
And remember when I started the conversation, I said these are cash-based statements. So
Yes.
we may very well owe them more money, but this is what we paid them during the year.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that.
And there- I believe there
that's
is a
so we
balance.
would know
There is a
clear-
balance. There is a balance that's owed.
There's a balance.
There's a balance
Okay.
that's owed.
Right, this is what is real in and out, but
Yep.
it doesn't, as you said,
Right.
reflect necessarily the.
The whole amount, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
So cash-based statements are good for some things,
Yeah,
but accrual-based statements are, they act, for me, they give you the whole picture.
get
Yes.
it.
I don't know, it's the accountant in me, but you know what, honestly, cash-based statements are really better for this sort of an environment, because it really gives you a better idea of
Actual
cash
in and out,
Yeah.
right.
Okay,
What, I'm sorry, the equipment, that was, how much was that? That was
the equipment rental was 8,700, but the total, the beautification, facilities and equipment rental and maintenance, all total 11,700.
So my question is, so we pay for equipment rental even though we're paying
There's a dumpster. There's,
We do pay for a
costs.
dumpster.
We have dumpsters on Avenue.
okay,
That's what we-
what was the beautification?
And,
But there was a handyman charge for $6,283.
She said beautification.
Oh, yeah,
It's
what's
the beautification? Was
What was the beautification?
The beautification of 5,900 is 2 checks written to Scott's Lawn Care.
Oh, yes. that's
Seasonal
all.
weeding,
Weeding.
it was
Remember
weeding,
that?
all weeding.
yeah.
It was waiting. Keith is like, well.
And so-
Yeah, because technically, when we talk about environment, there was a bunch of spraying chemicals out there. I don't say that they're translated into quality weeding and green services.
I didn't know that they sprayed.
I mean, you start talking about remediation and going green and the economy and the quality of living, and mostly what I can still see now is seasonal spraying. And that doesn't line up with where we want to
Are you
go.
speaking specifically to what happened?
Even in that interim during the time that you had the run and other, this being a destination of events, and the public outcry was like, look at what we look like, and then that service possibly was hired,
Yeah.
but what we detected was just spraying. And
Oh,
if you go
okay.
behind that type of work, it's hard to even get it up. So
Okay.
it's just sprayed, it sits there for close to almost a month. Then it turns bleach, and you still can't get it. It's just brittle, and then you're right back there at
Okay.
the regular.
So we'll need your
Standard
input on
care, so.
effective way to do that.
That should be a conversation.
Yeah.
For the record, we'll
Going
consult.
forward.
I know
For
that.
the record, we'll consult.
For the record, I got it.
You know.
I got it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we're good with facilities and equipment.
Well, the rental of $900 of this building was brought up at a previous board meeting. I hope the board will look at that. I think that's excessive and not entirely necessary.
Agreed.
Yes,
Looking
yes.
at it. I think you have a volunteer.
And that was Connie
Connie
Winters.
Winters
Yes,
volunteered.
correct. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And rent, parking, and utilities, I think we just had that conversation. Are there any other questions about that? All right. We're moving to insurance. So I'm just gonna look at the details of that, 12,000. The other thing that I want to say about that is I don't know that that 12,900 is all for that year.
Yeah.
Right, because it could have been that we were making payments on the previous year, but it's a cash-based statement. So until I actually look at the invoices, I can't really tell you which dollar amounts were for which year. So it is very possible that we either make, because I can see that we made a larger payment toward the end of the year, we could have been paying forward. And then at the front of the year, we could have still been paying the last year. So I'm not sure, I just need to look at the bills, and then I can give you a better number for what that really was.
And then my question was, why are we paying workers' compensation to who?
Well, we have
the
staff.
executive director.
We have
Yeah.
an employee.
Yeah.
If you have to have a
You
coverage
have
for
to.
your one employee.
I understand, but,
That seems like
okay,
a lot.
so if we're breaking down, so, okay.
But if it's commingled
The
year over
detail,
year and it
yeah.
hasn't been separated out, then it
Yeah.
can appear to be larger than it
Right.
actually is.
Yeah, it's pretty huge for.
Well, I
So
do
if
know
we
in the
break it
minutes,
down-
in previous minutes, this is documented, but apparently there's a time frame with the federal government and another entity. And if you don't respond by a certain time, then the insurance company,
State Department.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
They adjust
So I
your
know that
premium.
there was, and that went back, there was a dispute going back and forth to resolve that. So that's another reason why a large payment had to be made.
I'm still curious about that, but.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
But I mean, it's documented in previous records and when she looks further into
Yeah.
it.
It's about $2,300 just in the adjustment for the previous year. So they came in and, well, they would have come in and done an audit, but
Right.
what you're saying is probably true, like they were sent notices. They'll send you a couple notices, and then if you don't respond in a certain amount of time, they just hit you with what they think you should pay.
Right.
Hopefully, we can still go back, do the audit, and then we can be adjusted in the other direction. Would be nice.
Are you concerned mainly about just simply the workman's the compensation line item, or are you concerned about the number?
The line item.
And I guess, hearing that concern, I think my immediate reaction to that would be is that considering the role of the executive director and I guess all of the outgoing work that individual does, whether it's be the planning of events, the landscaping, whatever that entails. But then in the back of my mind, I also know that the executive director does not receive any level of benefit, meaning that there are no health benefits to support this position. So it's almost kind of a balance, and I think that would be something for the board's determination to either think, do we workman's compensation or do we implement benefits for that particular role?
Exactly,
Well-
and I'm not saying to get rid of the line
Mhm.
item, I'm actually wondering, of course, I'm not on the books, I'm not privy to the decision-making process, but I'm curious to what were the quotes and things like that.
Sure,
So I'm
yeah.
not saying
No,
that this
I'm with you.
person shouldn't have workman's comp, I just was questioning.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, agreed.
It's a large number.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Is it a clarity to where the line item matches up with? It
That's
might
another-
not be the executive director's workers' comp line item from
That's a,
Well,
yeah.
what she's
exactly.
reviewing.
That-
Right.
that is
and so
right.
there might just need to be clarity.
So for my own organization, the workman's comp line item, and the audit that you must complete, it's not just who is employed here, it's who volunteers.
Okay. Mhm.
It's all of that.
Right.
And the cost is determined based on that, because I have to do one every year,
Mhm.
as a prerequisite to them giving me a quote about what they're gonna charge.
Yeah, you also get slapped
Yes.
when you have contractors work for you.
Yes.
That you pay over $600 to in a year,
Mhm.
that don't provide a certificate of insurance to them.
Right.
Right.
Oh.
And a lot of times
Yes.
you're just trying to be kind and,
Yes.
you know, pay people in the neighborhood
Yeah.
who don't necessarily have the certificate of insurance to provide you, then, you know, that's something that we would get slapped for. And again, I haven't really gone that deep, so I can't really answer that. I'm just giving you scenarios.
But it's important for everyone to know how that works. It's
Yeah.
not just the employee, it's the volunteers, it's anybody that you contract with.
There are other organizations that I know of who got so frustrated with that they just made everybody an employee. And if you can't come into them as an employee, then they're not interested. Just because they got slapped so hard year after year. All right, so moving on, office expense. The thing that jumped out at me was software. Of course, you know, there is an Intuit, the company that provides the service for QuickBooks is in here, but the largest number, there are two large numbers in here. One is Method CRM, which makes sense to me for an organization like you. It's just a, what's it called?
Customer resource management,
Yeah, contact, and, you know, to manage your database. Thank you. And then Cvent for $1,740. What is Cvent?
It's a event planning platform that major corporations use, that GSSD should not have been used.
Ah, okay. So again, that's something else to look at for 18, 19, or 19, yeah, 18,
Now,
19.
I was told by Ingrid that, that was an unauthorized expense by the previous executive director, and that she was working to recoup those, the money that was spent on that.
Okay, because
But I haven't received
that
any
check
notice.
happened in May, or we paid the bill in May.
Right.
So that just seems, when was the previous director was, do we have some sort of a subscription or a contract? We don't know. Okay. So payroll expenses is definitely something that I can speak to. I know with certainty that the number that is here for employer taxes is most likely double what it actually is. For the people who, just a quick lesson in payroll taxes, for every $100 that you pay someone, $7.65 of it comes out and goes to the Internal Revenue Service, right? Social Security and Medicare, or otherwise called FICA. And then the organization matches the $7.65. The money that comes from the employee's check is not an expense to the organization. It's just kind of, we're holding it, we're collecting it, and then we're sending it off, but it's not our expense. The $7.65 that the organization pays is an expense to the organization. The way the money came in from the Paychex is the company that we're using to manage payroll. Whatever was happening, or whoever was putting the journal entries in, was putting the total amount that had gone to the Internal Revenue Service here under employer taxes. So this is literally, most likely, exactly twice what it should be.
Okay.
Right, and again, until I have the Paychex records, it's not a journal entry that I can make. I can't just guess that it was most likely half. So I left the number as it is just until we get, just until I get the records. And just that number alone, fixing that would bring us to a positive number for the year. Fingers crossed. Okay? Any other questions about that? I would just like to say that the payroll fees are too high. That what we're paying Paychex is too much. If we're paying for one person, $1,200 for one person, $100 a month is a lot for one person. I have a better solution, but we'll talk about that as we go. And it's not me, just saying.
Okay.
All right, so travel and meetings is $3,198.
Yeah, what's up?
Okay. Since we're okay, conferences, conventions, and meetings. I'll go there first. I've got Arboretum. I know exactly where they are. They're clients.
Yeah, that's what.
I have Dunkin' Donuts. That's kind of what struck me. It's like, why are they?
It sounds, I mean, if it's all like that, it sounds like,
Like an expensive.
Uber?
well, no, it sounds like a rental fee for using a space at Aubrey Dunkin' Donuts, fees for
5-year
meetings,
planning community.
offering coffee and stuff at things.
Oh.
But it sounds
Maybe
like
it's
it
in
might
the
be
wrong-
mixed in.
It's in the
with a
wrong
different
line
category.
item.
Yeah, it's an expense, yes.
It's
Like, we have a
buying
budget for
stuff
that, but
for,
we have it.
like, community, like maybe the meeting, the what do you call it? Community meeting.
Refreshments.
Travel and, it might have been the annual meeting
That's
cost
right.
right here.
Okay, well, it's something that, Jamar and I can certainly go through.
Yeah, and annual meeting cost, maybe it's in there.
I remember having coffee here
Yeah.
and donuts.
Before.
At some point, a
I
while
don't know
ago.
that that's $2,800 worth.
I'm just saying, it's not like it ever happened.
Well, I do know, the board was asked, if the previous executive director could attend a conference downtown.
PA downtown center.
Right.
I have that, that's in here.
Okay.
I also have, KJ Diner for $310.
Woo.
I have Acme several times.
That's
That's probably food.
PA, the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, that's $25. The Arboretum is like $464,
Oh my goodness.
and PA downtown is $670.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
why are we paying the Arboretum?
Yeah. that's-
Travel and meet.
Flag it.
And,
Oh,
Anything.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're right. You can-
I am. I don't usually do that though. I don't usually like go back to the other person to see. Like I would want to see.
You know what it is.
I think I know what it is. I remember seeing,
Emily did it.
no, I. It was like a partnership on an event that was hosted at, because I remember talking about it with the previous staff member, so it was like a partnership on an event. So it
That
could
makes
be
sense.
more like a sponsorship
Oh.
payment, but coming, like your contribution for being a presenter.
Angela?
Oh.
I think that that's what it is.
Okay.
But it's in the wrong.
Yeah, it's in the wrong.
It's
Right.
wrong.
Okay.
Well, no. Conferences, convention meeting. I understand how it got there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand how it got there. Okay, so those are the things that make up that $2,800, $2,900. And
You know what?
travel is literally parking.
Okay.
It's $131 worth of parking, so that's that's fine. We've got uncategorized income of $200. I'm just gonna pop in and see what that was. I'm not sure what we couldn't figure out. Oh, I know. Okay, so it's $200 for an ordinance, like something happened that we had to pay $200 to the city for. I have an ordinance number, but that's all I have. I don't know.
What's the ordinance number?
170-723.
170-723.
$200. And we paid it,
Did you rent a bus
yeah.
to go to the ordinance?
We wrote the check on January 29th. And I can tell you that it was check number 1098, if that makes a difference, Councilwoman.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Some violation.
That was my thought. Okay, so with things as they are, we have total expenses of $232,000. And again, I want to be really clear. I do not have 100% confidence in the numbers, as I have not yet seen invoices or receipts or anything of that nature. And we still have some corrections to do with regards to payroll that I think would make a significant difference to the bottom line. So as it stands, we're at negative $2,000 of income for that fiscal year. And one of the things I did want to say is just considering, I know that we paid the accountant $1,500 to review that year. My recommendation would be for an audit for the year 2017. Yeah, I think we need a street audit.
The question is who's gonna pay for the audit?
Well,
There's no
I think if you have a conversation with Jack,
Okay.
I can talk to Jeff.
yeah, just
He
talk
used
to
to
Jack.
do historic journal.
Yeah, he does a couple of the, a few of the organizations that I do the bookkeeping for. So I can have a conversation with Jack
Full audit
and see.
is gonna run
Couple thousand.
At
between
least.
3 and 5.
Yeah, between 3 and 5.
But considering all that's happened, I just think it's
I agree.
Worth
I
it.
feel more comfortable with that.
yeah. And then maybe every 3-4 years. I don't think it's not an every year issue, but just for the year that we're in, and considering that he only charges us $1,500 for the reviews, that makes sense to me. But I think we're due for an audit.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
I have one
And
comment
we
on
can
the
give you-
financials that I just wanted to add. I think it'll be really important for the board and for the finance committee of the board to look at each of the 5 years invoicing and look at the unpaid accounts. Because one thing I noticed is that the accounts receivable number is much lower than it had been in the past. And I suspect that there may be previous years' unpaid accounts that may actually suggest a higher accounts receivable number.
Yeah.
And I think it's really critical for the board to see year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, the amount billed and then the amount that's still due.
Yeah.
And then for the finance committee to actually see those individual accounts and whether liens have been filed or not.
Okay, thank you.
I know you had a question.
I was just gonna say, I'll mention this to Andy, and he can get in touch with you. But we've had audits for the last 3 years for some grants that we have to apply for, so we were doing audits every year, unfortunately, because it's a lot. But he can let you know who we work with if you're looking for someone, and also,
You don't use McGovern?
well, we might. Also, our finance committee, if you're interested in talking with them, because I know that they just switched up how they present their financials at our board meetings to make it a little bit easier for folks to understand who aren't like finance wizards. And it's been really helpful.
Yes.
So,
And I know who's on your committee.
yeah.
Because he confirmed with Aaliyah.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So we will, this is good. That's great. Any questions, anyone? So moving forward, we will be working with Pyramid Solutions. We, of course, will make it a formal board decision, but we're really confident in what Pyramid Solutions presented. Questions from the public?
I just have a general question. So if you do an audit, that, like, how difficult is it to put together like your year of financials if there are no books? Like, so you can figure, finance people can figure all that out?
Well, there are no books.
In my
Okay, or
experience,
they're just not there.
There's not no books.
it's not that there's no book.
Yeah, I just need to say it.
There's some stuff around here.
That's quick.
It would require some pre-auditing services to find receipts, to reach out to vendors, and do kind of like a lot of legwork. And at a municipal level, that tends to what drives up the cost of the audit is doing all of the legwork to get your ducks in a row, so that you don't get a ton of audit findings that
So that's why you
make you look.
hire the bookkeeper
Right.
in order to go and do all the hunting, so that the auditors don't charge for all of that.
Right, what she said.
Yeah.
And then I guess.
Now I am making a plug.
And then I guess my other question is, so after you have like the accurate viewpoint, would you then you might have to adjust the budget for the full year to be able to resume services, or?
Oh yeah, definitely gonna have to
Okay.
do that.
Alright.
That part goes without saying.
So we don't have that fund.
Yeah.
One more question and then we're gonna be done with the treasurer's report.
How do you plan to avoid this situation in the future?
Well, that's a great question. Not only do we plan to avoid it, we are committed to avoiding it. We've had a lot of serious conversations as the board, executive committee, and, we take full responsibility. I know I've been on the board about 2.5 years or so.
Thanks, Dennis.
Dennis, thank you. And I can only speak for myself at this point. I mean, I most of you know me, I've been involved in a number of organizations here and on our outreach committee. And I think we were presented with a lot of information that we took at face value. And we've also been pretty, participatory in this organization. And I think a lot of times people are well-intentioned. But to answer your question, I think just being as transparent as possible, jumping on things immediately, definitely involving the councilwoman early on. This is a big mistake I think we made as a board, just kind of at the tail end of it, saying, hey, this is what's happening, instead of just coming early on. And for me, I just think it's not really understanding what was happening. and just having full knowledge of it, we acted immediately. And what the it is things they're not getting cleaned. I live in the neighborhood right down the street. It's not getting cleaned. There's no cash in the organization. We want this organization to thrive. We want the community to be cleaner and better. The leadership at the time wasn't effective, and as board members, none of us want to be a part of something that isn't working.
But I think also, if you look at the avenue now, you know, Germantown or Shelton, you know, like this organization is not optional. This is not something that we can have or we can't have, or we can choose to do something different. When you look at Germantown Avenue right now, when you look at Shelton Avenue, what's wrong with you?
Get a ticket.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Run.
Yeah.
Everybody's out.